When you spend close to 2 million pesos on a car, there are certain expectations that have to be met. And these days, those expectations have to go beyond fancy features because there are cars priced well below 1.5 million pesos that give you all the bells and whistles that you could possibly ask for. So what does a vehicle with such a price tag have to offer to be considered worthy of your hard-earned dough? Well, today let's take a closer look at the GAC GS8 to find out. Despite its boxy silhouette, the GAC GS8 won't get lost in the pool of SUVs because the design may be generic, but what sets this thing apart is really in the details. At the front, you have what GAC called the Flying Dynamics grille, flanked by headlights that resemble nothing I've ever really seen before. Now on this base model 4x2 GE variant, you don't get LEDs, but don't worry because this is equipped with HID and they work brilliantly. Now along the side you get 18-inch wheels and power folding heated side mirrors. But what I really like about this side profile is how the B, C, and D pillar blend so nicely with the rest of the glass. Not only does that give it a floating roof design, but it also creates the illusion that you have wraparound windows. Now at the back you get these U-shaped tunnel type LED tail lamps. And opening this tailgate is done manually because if you want a power assisted tailgate, you're going to have to spring for the higher end models. Fortunately, you do get a lot of room back here. There's still some usable space with the third row seats up. The seats fold flat if that isn't enough. And if you want a moonlight for Lalamove, you can also fold the second row seats. Also get this 12-volt power outlet which can come in quite handy. I think it's time to hop in and check out the rest of the interior. The folks at GAC describe this interior as a suspended, wraparound luxury yacht cockpit. Now, I've never been in a yacht, but I still think it's a fair assessment because it does feel opulent in here. And to think I'm in the base model trim. And I think the light interior has a lot to do with it because it gives you that feeling that you don't want to touch anything to keep it from getting dirty. I even made sure to take a shower before sitting in here. But considering the price tag that this commands, I really think that this interior fits the bill. This comes with extremely comfortable leather seats that are power adjustable for both the driver and front passenger. You can also adjust the steering column quite a fair bit, which is really a treat for me because I like to keep the seats a little farther back to ensure that my thighs are firmly planted while keeping the tiller well within reach. In terms of features and tech, you get this 10-inch touchscreen, which sadly doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but you can pair your phone via Bluetooth. On this base trim, you don't get a 360 camera, but you do get a reverse camera with active guidelines, and this has a total of 8 sensors, so that's enough to get you by when it comes to parking duties. You can also adjust various vehicle settings from here, which include how firm you want the steering to be. Now, I don't always talk about the audio, but at this price point, I think it's imperative to have a decent sound system because that really elevates the experience. And this comes with a 6-speaker sound system, which provides a good level of separation and clarity. Frequency response is more on the mid to high range, so if you like a lot of bass, you may be left wanting. But being a Tito, I'm really not into that anymore, so I'm quite happy with how this thing sounds. But it's worth noting that when you turn the volume up, there is a bit of harmonic distortion. Moving on to the instrument cluster, you get analog gauges and a multi-information screen in the middle. Along the center console, you'll find adequate space for your phone, a mechanical gear selector, an electronic park brake with an auto hold feature, concealable cup holders, and an armrest with a decent amount of storage. Now, only the top spec models get ambient lighting, but I think the illuminated footwells and vanity mirrors are a nice touch. Now the interior lighting is also pretty decent, but I do wish the glove box was also illuminated. It does get felt lining though. Overall, this interior looks and feels luxurious, and you can really tell where your money went should you decide to buy this. Even if this isn't the top of the line model with a panoramic sunroof, nothing in here feels run of the mill. And that's not just confined to the front seats, because this has a tri-zone automatic climate control system. So even your rear passengers are assured of utmost comfort. With all the space and appointments back there, there really isn't anything more you could ask for. In fact, even your third row passengers won't have much to complain about because they also get air vents back there. You're also well covered in terms of safety with front dual airbags, front side airbags, curtain side airbags, pre-tension and limit stress seatbelts, hill start hold control, hill descent control, cruise control, rain sensing windshield washers, and an anti-glare rear view mirror and tire pressure monitoring system. But we all know this fancy interior won't be of much use if this thing isn't as good to drive as it is to look at and sit in. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. There are some people who are extremely passionate about driving. And these are the folks who long for a certain degree of connectedness with the vehicle in order to give them a visceral driving experience. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have folks who think of driving as a chore and want nothing more than to get behind the wheel of something that's easy and convenient to drive. And some manufacturers try to find a sweet spot by coming up with a vehicle that could cater to both. And what they usually end up with is a well-rounded vehicle, but one that doesn't really excel in the field of comfort or sportiness. But the GS8 is a little different. It's more focused because it prioritizes comfort above anything else. And even as someone who loves to drive, I can really appreciate that. Because this doesn't struggle to be a jack of all trades. Rather, it excels in providing a stress-free driving experience. The suspension is unapologetically soft, which means that it may lean a bit when you corner at speed, but it does a really, really good job when you're going over bad pavement or road imperfections. So under the hood, you get a 2-liter turbocharged engine that produces 199 horsepower and 320 Newton meters of torque. And those are pretty good numbers. But the thing is, you don't feel the power. And that's not because this thing is a slouch. It definitely isn't. It's just that it does a really good job at isolating you, that you never feel the sensation of speed. So if you're the kind of person who likes to floor it to feel that sensation, this may not float your boat. But if you just need the speed or power because you're in a hurry, you want to pass another vehicle, you basically just want to get to your destination faster, this will definitely deliver. And with this, you have to be quite cognizant of how fast you're going. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on the speedometer because you could already be speeding without even realizing it. Now this comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission, which is also very smooth in the sense that you don't feel the gear shifts. But the best part about it is it's not lazy or lethargic because it will downshift and hold the revs when you want or need it to. And I'm not even on sport mode yet. My only real complaint with this is really the brake feel. Pedal travel is pretty deep and it does require more effort than you'd expect to get this thing to stop. Now some say this would have been better if it had a diesel engine. And while I see where they're coming from, I beg to differ. Because considering what this car tries to accomplish in terms of refinement and comfort, I think a gasoline engine is the perfect match for it. And the best part about that is you don't pay a penalty when it comes to fuel consumption. Because in city driving, this can still do 10 to 11 kilometers per liter. And considering the size of this thing, that's not bad. Prices for the GAC GS8 starts at 1,880,000 pesos for this 4x2 GE variant. And I know that seems like a lot of money, but when you look at similarly priced vehicles, you'll be pressed to find something that offers this much luxury and refinement. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, head on over to your nearest GAC dealership. I would also like to thank GAC Motor Philippines and GAC Motor Metro Walk for making this review possible. You can follow them on social media by clicking the links on the description below. Thanks for watching.